Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly Delta fishing report for the week of June 24th. I'd like to hit you guys up about a new YouTube channel. My friend James, Straight Hook Fishing. He's the gentleman in the picture at the start of the report today with that huge bass that he got from New Maloney's a couple of weeks ago. If you're not watching Straight Hook Fishing, give James a little bit of love. Check out his channel. It's all bass. And make sure you're checking them out and supporting the local YouTubers. So James, thanks for sending me that picture. I also got my partner Eli out here today. He was out here fishing with me this morning. And we're going to really focus on the largemouth bass. Not a whole lot of activity out here, so not getting a lot of reports for the stripers. So we're gonna give you a report because we caught a few stripers this morning, but not a whole lot going on with the stripers. At least the people that are out here aren't talking a whole lot. So if something comes up during the summer months and the striper fishing turns on or something happens, I'll let you guys know. But pretty much now through summer, we're going to be focusing on the largemouth bass. Let's just talk about water conditions first, and then we'll get into the largemouth bass fishing report. Pretty much perfect.
Yeah,
3 to 5 feet. Yeah, 3 to 5 feet visibility. As long as we have some stable temperatures. And last week you noticed that we had a ton of wind, and the barometer was up and down. The nights were dropping down into the 60s. The days were anywhere from, we had a 104 degree day, we had an 80 degree day. So things were really unstable, and the fishing was a lot tougher. It's been on an upswing since last Wednesday, and I did my report last Wednesday and told you I was having trouble catching fish. The Wednesday night tournament came down, and they did really well. Lots of fish, lots of big bags. And just as a sidebar on that, my partner Zach from Outdoor Sportsman won the tournament with, I believe he had 23 pounds. Second win for Zach. And I'm telling you this because this is a guy that does really well out here, and he's very consistent. And I give him credit for being honest, because as he told me he won the tournament, he also told me 2 days later, a day or so later, he went out and couldn't find the fish and had a really tough day. So I think it helps everyone out here that's out here working really hard, may not be getting 20 pounds of fish every day. It happens to everybody. Even the guys that are winning tournaments have their off days. So the Delta this year, as you guys know, has been day by day. One day you can be in heaven, the next day you can be going downstairs. But it is getting more and more consistent, and all the reports that I have been getting have been of people catching fish. Nobody is really singing the blues too much. They may say they had a tough day and had to work for their fish, but I've been getting reports on crankbaits. One guy had a 30 or 35 fish day on crankbaits, up to 5 pounds. I know people are catching fish punching. They're throwing frogs. They're obviously worms, chatterbaits, pretty much whatever's in front of you. Today we were throwing a little bit of everything. We're going to go in detail about what we did today, and I'm going to let Eli talk a little bit. So you're not always hearing it from me. You can hear it from a guy that was out here today fishing with me. And a few general things that I can tell you. The evening bite has been better than the morning bite. There has been a topwater bite, but again, the morning topwater bite has been very inconsistent. It's on one day, it's off the next day. The evening bite is much more consistent. The bite that starts midday is generally on the high outgoing tide, and it's not right as soon as the tide turns. It's usually an hour or two into the outgoing tide. That's the tide that you want to fish. And the fish there are fish in shallow water, there's fish in deep water. We're not fishing anywhere deeper than about 6 or 8 feet of water, but there's fish from the bank out to that first ledge and down hanging on that first ledge off the bank. And I have been spending most of my time on tule banks like we have back here. I haven't fished a whole lot of rock wall and flats and things. I'm really happy to say that the last spawn session, the last full moon, maybe the last 2 full moons, must have been really good for the bass, because we're seeing more and more fry in here, and everywhere I go, they're really showing up. So we're going to have some fish in the Delta for the coming years. I was getting worried there because I really think the fish that came in March, April, maybe even May. We saw a lot of fish inside, and they looked like they were spawning. I don't know that all those fish spawned. I think a lot of them came in and we'll call it a false spawn and went out. But I think a lot of those fish that may not have spawned in early are coming back, and they're spawning in deeper water. We're not seeing fish in like we did in March, April, and May in the shallows. I think these are the fish that are spawning out a little bit deeper, and I think they're more successful in their spawn. So that's really good news. Lots of fry out here. Not seeing a lot of fish on beds right now, but I'm sure somewhere out here there's going to be fish doing some spawning on the next moon phase. So let's talk about what we did today. And I got Eli up at what, 4 o'clock in the morning. We came out here and we fished dark.
It was a fantastic day. Started off a little bit rough in the morning. We tried our best to get some top water going.
And what were we throwing? We were throwing the same thing I always throw, River to Sea bubble walker. Eli was throwing a frog and a popper, and we had very little action.
Yeah, we had a lot of swipes, but just not a lot of fish that were sticking. Later in the day, as the sun came up, the tides changed a little bit. We ran some water. We were able to locate some fish that were a lot more active. We were able to get them going on chatterbait, just fishing on islands, and working the edges. It was a really high tide, and we transitioned from fishing the middle of the island slowly to working the outside of the island. So we were just catching a lot of fish. We had some fish going as well on some Senkos and some worms, dragging some Senkos. There were some quality fish. We caught a few fish pushing almost 5 pounds.
Yeah, almost 5. Eli got one almost 5, and we had some nice fish in. I don't know if they were 4 pounds. But nice solid fish. And also, Eli, I talk about this every week, how there are bite windows, and we had a tough morning bite, and when we got out to our deeper spots, we were having tough fishing.
Yeah.
It was tough, and almost like clockwork. And I think I told you this. We caught a couple of small fish, and I said that's usually how it starts. We'll get a couple of small fish, and then I think for about maybe, what was our bite period? Maybe an hour. We had a pretty good bite window.
Yeah, they just kept on going.
Yeah, we had a couple double hookups of nice, quality fish, not 10 inchers, but we had some good fish. And when they started, they really started, and we could just tell what was going on. We were getting a lot of bites that just hit it, and they weren't sticking. I lost my first 5 or 6 fish.
They just slap at the chatterbait.
Eli was catching fish. I couldn't land a fish, and I think you had probably 12, 14 pounds of fish before I landed a fish.
I keep those hooks sharp.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, one 3-pounder came in, another, and then a 4 and a 5 and another 4. In about that hour time frame, we just had great fishing, and then it died off. And we also caught quite a few stripers.
We located some stripers anywhere where there was moving water. We fished a few breaks. Anytime there was current and wind pushing it, it just fired up the stripers, and we were able to crack a few with the chatterbait as well.
If you're out here and you're not catching fish, your fortunes can change in 10 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just bang, 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 and your fortunes could go from winning to losing just that quick.
Yeah.
So if you were going to give a suggestion to somebody that was coming out this weekend, number one, I would say stay away from the birds, because we almost got bombed
those
right
seagulls
here.
are deadly.
Yeah, those seagulls are bad. But if the wind comes up, and instead of having 3 to 5, we've got 3 to 5 feet of visibility, it goes from maybe 2 to 3. The white spinnerbait, let's see, can you get that one for me while I'm talking? The white spinnerbait took over. It was out fishing the chatterbaits, and I was just using a half-ounce white on white, white blades, white spinnerbait. This was out fishing the chatterbait, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 to 1.
Yeah.
As soon as the water clarity started to get better, and it's 3 to 5 feet, let's show them that one that you were picking them up on. Eli was picking them up on
green pumpkin and
green pumpkin with the flamethrower, or whatever you call it, and I was using just a straight green pumpkin. So that's one tip that I would give. If the water clarity is less than 3 feet, throw some spinner baits. If you got 3 to 5 feet, throw a chatterbait. what else would you, what kind of recommendations would you, I know you caught some fish on worms, you got them on chatterbaits.
Yeah, I would say don't really focus so much on one area, but we covered a lot of water. Just look for that active fish. Sometimes we would just, it's a combination of running the tides and the bite windows and the places. Some areas just fired up and we were able to catch some fish consistently.
And some of our bigger fish came right in the same areas. Like you said, we had that one double, and there was a couple banks that were on, and the other banks we had trouble.
Yeah. But we put together a pretty good bag by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and it's about 11:30 or something. We're going to head in. The tide kind of bumped us out here. But that's the report. So get out here. You're going to have some fun. Man, the fish are hot, especially the males in that 3 to 4 pound class. They are
aggressive.
They're aggressive, and I mean, when they're hitting these chatterbaits, they were just, when they're on, they're hitting them, and a lot of fun to catch. And the bigger fish will be out. I was out the other night, and we missed a lot of big blowups, and I tell everybody this. Those were the big behemoths. Those weren't the 5 pounders. Those were the 7, 8 pounders. Yeah. And those fish, I think, are still recovering from the spawn. And mark my words, guys, this next couple weeks, there's going to be some toads coming out.
Probably.
And not the 8, 9 pounders. You're going to see some double digits, because all of these big females that are recovering from the spawn, they're wanting to feed. They're just not physically able to really come up and whack the baits. In the next couple weeks, starting I'll be out here after this weekend. I'm going to be out here, try to be out here every day, because I think that's when the big fish are going to be biting. So if you got some vacation to burn, or you maybe got some sick leave to burn,
Calling sick,
yeah, the next couple weeks is you should be out here and give it a try. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend. We'll be out next week, and I'll give you a report about what we're doing. And if you get one of those big 10-pound fish, send me a picture. We'll get it up on the screen. You become a YouTube superhero or whatever it is. So thank you guys for watching. Eli, thanks for fishing with me today. We had a blast.
Likewise, yeah, it was a fun day.
We got to use the net several times, and the fish were hot. And it's on, guys. See you out on the water.